even playing field for a start, but not a level playing field because they're in a tax haven and they're competing then with companies which are not in tax havens. So that's the first start that I would make, that we need to see that any kind of tendering process which involves contracts from people who are hidden themselves away in a tax haven, they ought to be transparent to what is actually happening to the profits that they're making out of these contracts. That's the first thing I would do. And that needs an international agreement. We can't do that on our own very easily, but we can start doing that, and other people perhaps will follow suit, because it is iniquitous that a company can register out there and then contract for jobs and for work and for supplies and for financial information, all the rest of it, on which they're going to make a profit, which doesn't come back to us at all. It's just, high bill. And this doesn't matter a little bit, it matters a lot, because there's billions of pounds involved in these offshore companies, not just on the contracting, millions of pounds in their financial systems, which then impose on the rest of us all sorts of burdens. When the government turns around and say, well, we haven't got enough money, it's all out there. Trillions of it on a world scale, billions of it for us. And if we had those billions, we wouldn't have been quite so, we're all in it together, we're short of money, we can't do that, we're all poor. Rubbish. We're not all poor, we're poor, but they're not.
I heard something on the radio recently where they were looking at the way in which these tax havens operate, and they were talking to somebody in the government of the Isle of Man, and the Isle of Man historically has been seen as a kind of tax haven, not quite as effective as the Virgin Islands, but the point that he was making was the thing that they have done in the Isle of Man is to change the way in which those transactions are recorded, so that they are then required, or they are going to require, for all of that information to be public. So all of those transactions from all of those companies will be made public, so people will be able to see and know where that money is coming in from, and how much money is involved. Now that seems to me to be quite a big step, and I think we ought to be able to do more of that. Douglas is right, we're not going to be able to do it on our own, but that's the essence of it. It's the secrecy that I find worrying, that people stash it away, and they obviously do that for a reason, and it's to, in inverted commas, avoid paying tax, and yet it's the fact that it's done secretly that enables them to do that. If it was more public, we would be able to hold these companies to account.
We're not all in it together, are we? Some of us don't have access to Panama bank accounts and what have you. Of course we've got to take a robust approach, and we can't do it alone. And going off on a tangent, that makes me think that there is therefore part of the strong argument to remain in the EU, where we can tackle these issues collectively.
I feel like we've got this sort of Gulf Stream of money going above the earth, that doesn't ever touch the ground. It just seems to appear in people's bank accounts. I'm not quite sure what it is about the psychology of some people that they need to know about all these zeros, but they don't really spend it, they don't really touch it, they don't really do nothing happens with this money. It's redundant money, but it's power, isn't it? Just go to London, You try buying a place in London. It's ridiculous, it's impossible. I mean, actually, all power to obviously we hope it's a Labour Mayor of London, but the housing crisis in that city is just, it's despicable actually. It's not, a bit sad or, a little bit of a funny occurrence. It's a travesty, it's a tragedy for the people of an entire city that can't afford to live there. And the community effects, the roll-on of that are enormous side effects. But to come back to your cleverly linking it to the NHS there, Steve, the thing that occurred to me, and this goes back to transparency, is something that the NHS have brought in fairly recently, is this what they call, and it's probably quite spurious really, but they call it a fit and proper test for people who become sort of directors and non-executive directors of trusts and what have you in public life. And you really need a fit and proper test for companies, don't you? You want to know that the people you're doing business with are people you know, it's almost like a sort of a fair trade mark, and I know fair trade is loved and loathed equally by people, but you know, it's almost like a kite mark of, yes, you're a company, I understand, I know where your money comes from, I know where it goes, and I want to do business with you. And I think that, you know, we do need that, absolutely. I want my money, my public money, I want it spent properly.